Good evening, my Real News Midday TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update. And in the news this evening, inmate charged with murder. An inmate has been charged with the stabbing murder of his fellow inmate, 32-year-old Jermaine Rogers, at the St. Catherine Adult Correctional Center earlier this month. The accused is 41-year-old Apollos Atkinson, according to a police statement issued on Sunday. The incident occurred at the Spanish Town-based facility on January 17. It was reported earlier that there was a commotion at a section of the penal institution during which Rogers was attacked and stabbed in his chest with a sharp object. Rogers was later found and transported to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Atkinson was charged following a question and answer session with the detectives, the police said. A court date is pending. St. Elizabeth man shot, dies in fiery Kingston crash. A St. Elizabeth man was shot dead while driving in Kingston early Saturday, causing his car to crash into a utility pole and to catch a fire. The deceased has been identified as Jerome King of Appleton Heights from Balaclava District to St. Elizabeth. It is reported that around 12:15 a.m. on Saturday, King was driving a 2012 Toyota Premier motorcar along McWhinney Street when he was attacked and shot. He lost the control of the vehicle, which crashed into a utility pole and burst into flames. King was severely burnt in the fire. The Elletson Road Criminal Investigation Branch is probing the incident. 2 charged for firearm and ammo seized in Westmoreland. A man and a woman have been charged following the seizure of 1 firearm and several rounds of ammunition during an operation in Lennox, Darleston in Westmoreland on Sunday. 38-year-old Philip Warren, otherwise called Max, a farmer, and the 22-year-old Rochelle Hacker, otherwise called Rush, both of Lennox, have each been slapped with possession of prohibited weapon and unauthorized possession of ammunition charges. Reports from the Darleston police are that about 5:20 a.m., lawmen conducted a search of Warren and Hacker's residence and found 1 Taurus pistol fitted with a magazine containing 12 9mm rounds. An additional 9mm rounds of ammunition was found loaded in the weapon, and 5 additional 9mm rounds were found in a pouch under a bed. Both individuals were taken into custody and were subsequently charged for the offenses. Their court date is being arranged. Community water tanks in Clarendon Southeast reportedly stolen by some local residents. Member of Parliament for Clarendon Southeast, Pernell Charles Jr., has reported the theft of some of the 8 water storage tanks installed to serve residents of Top and Bottom Holt Hall. Mr. Charles revealed on Friday that the tanks were installed in 2020 to increase water access and the storage capacity for residents, only for 1 or 2 community persons to have taken custody of some of them.
We are told that some of the persons in the community, unfortunately, 1 or 2 have actually taken custody of 1 or 2 of the tanks. It's an unfortunate situation, but we have called on the community to protect the assets and the investments that we have made. I noticed that 2 have been replaced, and we expect that in short order, the rest will also return from the co-owners and be placed back for the benefit of the entire community.
From Bubba to Tinkman, the ill-fated leadership of the One Order Gang. The leadership of the Spanish Town-based One Order Gang is a constant revolving door of characters because of the gang's violent activities, which include extortion, killings, and drug dealing. On Wednesday night, Othniel Tinkman Laban became the latest of its reputed dons to have their reign cut short at the hands of the police, gunmen, or through the courts over the last 2 decades. Laban, who was fatally shot in an alleged confrontation with members of the police joint anti-gang task force at the 6 Miles in St. Andrew, was said to be a key figure in Jamaica's criminal underworld with influence in several sections of the island. His killing sparked unrest across the old capital. The One Order Gang gained notoriety for its fierce rivalry with the Klansman gang over the lucrative extortion racket in Spanish Town engaging in a bloody internecine battle which has claimed the lives of hundreds of people. The news has compiled a list of some of its ill-fated leaders over the last 20 years and how they met their demise. Bubba shot in the head on Whitehall Avenue. Notorious gangster Oliver Bubba Smith was shot and killed by gunmen in July 2004 along Festival Road off Whitehall Avenue in St. Andrew. Smith was shot in the head with a high-powered rifle. The police seized the Honda Civic motor car that Smith was driving at the time of his death and eventually seized more than 800 rounds of ammunition at the upscale St. Andrew home he had been renting. Smith, who was deported from the United States in 2002, was wanted by the police for various crimes, including murder. Bunman murdered by khaki-wearing gunmen. Andrew Bunman Hope was one of Smith's most trusted lieutenants. He reportedly inherited the mantle of leadership from Bubba Smith before he was killed on February 7, 2006 by rival criminals in Spanish Town. Hope was shot dead on Ellis Street in the vicinity of the Spanish Town High School by unknown assailants dressed in khaki. He was found slumped over the steering wheel of his silver Honda Civic motor car. Bunman had appeared to be marked for death, as months earlier he narrowly escaped when gunmen fired on a vehicle in which he and a well-known politician were traveling in after they attended a peace meeting. Tika Ross, one of his associates, was killed in the attack. When Hope was killed, a wild rumor spread that a member of the police force was responsible for his death, and the gang members invaded the town and fired shots. They proceeded to block roads in several sections of the town in protest and forced several businesses to pull their shutters early. Thugs set fire to the Spanish Town courthouse, and the fire brigade was prevented from putting out the blaze. Plaka, Bunman's brother, incarcerated after short reign. After Bunman's death, his younger brother Ruhan Plaka Hope became the reputed leader of the One Order gang. However, his reign was cut short by collaborative efforts of the Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Branch and the United States counterparts, which resulted in 3 top-tier members of the gang being convicted, including Plaka. On June 19, 2015, Hope was indicted for 1 count of false claim of U.S. citizenship and 1 count of aggravated identity theft. During a search of his residence in Pennsylvania, police discovered 352 grams of marijuana, several weapons, cell phones, and a Jamaica driver's license with a fraudulent name and Hope's photograph. Plaka was eventually sentenced to 5 years in a U.S. prison. The other men convicted were Deputy One Order boss Everton Minot, otherwise called Rado, and Richard Shelley, otherwise called Ryder. The police say the 2 have been sentenced to 12 years and 20 years respectively for a range of offenses. In 2017, Rohan Hope appealed his conviction for aggravated identity theft and a 60-month imprisonment sentence following his guilty plea to falsely claiming United States citizenship. The conviction was affirmed in part and vacated and remanded in part. The court found that the record supported a reasonable fact-finder's conclusion that Hope was guilty of aggravated identity theft beyond a reasonable doubt and affirmed the conviction. According to sources, the top-tier leadership continued to oversee gang activities from overseas, but appointed a local don to run the Jamaican operations. Scuffler died of natural causes. The One Order gang leadership dominoes continued to fall with the death of Fitzroy Matthias, also called the Scuffler, from an illness, reportedly cancer, on January 24, 2024. Cops arrested Matthias in 2010 and he was charged with 2 counts of shooting with intent but was later released. In 2015, Scuffler, who was later charged with the gunslaying of a man in 2013, was granted bail in the sum of $750,000 in the Home Circuit Court. He was 36 years old at the time and charged with the murder of Huntroy Patterson, otherwise called the Season, of Ellerslie Pen, Spanish Town, St. Catherine. When the matter came up for trial, it was revealed that the sole eyewitness in the matter, who had been in police custody, was absent. It was further revealed that the man had not left an address and could not be reached. A successful bail application was made by attorney-at-law Sean Kinghorn. Bail was initially opposed on the grounds that he was reportedly third in charge of the One Order gang. The court was, however, convinced to grant bail. Once released, Scuffler continued to rise through the leadership ranks of the gang until he was declared the de facto leader. He was a crafty individual and forged a notable partnership across political lines when he worked closely with Sheldon Lennox Walters, the gang leader known as the Termite, who had led the Top Banks gang after a split with the Klansman gang. The two split up extortion spoils and formed a powerful alliance. Just a month after Scuffler's death, Termite was killed by cops who related that he had a notable history within organized crime, specifically with the Klansman gang. Scuffler had ruled the top roast of the gang for about 6 years until his untimely death in 2024, after which Tickman became the heir apparent. Sources say that there was a leadership squabble between Plaka and Ruto that spilled over in the streets of North Philadelphia in March 2024. Plaka was reportedly shot in the thigh by unknown assailants in the incident. Police in Philadelphia reported that more than 30 shots were fired during the gun battle between two groups of people. A 45-year-old man was listed as critical after being shot in the eye, while a second victim, a 42-year-old man, was stable after being shot in the thigh. Sources say that the internal conflict has not made its way to the shores of Jamaica. The One Order gang is headquartered in the Toss Pen community with strongholds in Ellerslie Pen, Dempshire Pen, Gordon Pen, Shelter Rock, Homestead and Chambers Lane. The gang has created splinter factions in other areas of the country, including rural regions. It has long been considered an ally of the Jamaica Labour Party, and it is believed to be one of the more powerful gangs in the island. The One Order gang is a fierce rival of the Klansman Wandon gang, which is considered an ally of the People's National Party. The hostilities between the two gangs have resulted in hundreds of murders as they waged a bitter war over control of extortion activities. In 2003 alone, 130 murders were committed in the historic town as both the gangs battled for extortion rights. Thank you everyone for watching. See you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for another news update.